Hello. Oh, it's another one of those days. I haven't done this for a long while because I've just been not feeling it. And I tried a few times, I just didn't have anything to say. Shockingly, I have not just woken up. So, I don't really know when I did this last, but I guess I'll just go off of anything I can remember. So I've been doing um, a lot of archery just here in my yard. Um, Yeah, so I made a whole bunch of bows. I made one for Jill. I mean, I think I already told you this, but I made one for Jill. I made one for Bree. I made one for Jill's friend Gila, and that one turned out really good. They keep on getting better every single time. I made a few for me. I broke two. I broke three or something like that. Yeah, it's been really fun. It's just too bad I can't do it at night because I just like to do it a lot, and I've got like calluses on my fingers, and yeah, it's really fun. I've also put on a little bit of muscle, but you know, it's only impressive to me at the moment. I learned a few songs like "Lucky" and "Fake Plastic Trees," which I think I've learned how to do before, but I never actually practiced them and learned how to do it. So I'm getting better at just like playing through chords and being able to listen to what the progression is and just kind of sounding it out, I guess. So yeah, just been. I played a little guitar. I played music with a guy named Alex Keeney for a while, and he. Okay, so this story actually kind of makes me a little mad. So I was I went to like a garage party thing, and they were just like basically having an open mic with everybody just jumping in and playing, and I just played some drums for a while, and then he really liked the way I played. So then he like hit me up and was like, "Well, we should play sometime." I'm like, "Yeah, come on over to my place and we'll just play on my quiet drum set." It's like, "Yeah, sure." And then he mentioned that um, he was getting his plasma taken for money, like income. And I was like, "Well, shit, dude, why don't we just go play on the streets? Let's go busk and we'll split it 70-30, cuz like I have a job, it's fine." Um and he's like, "Nah, I don't really want to do that." And then like 2 days later, he's on the streets playing music. And I was like, "Okay, that's cool. He didn't want to do that." And then I'm like, "Yo, maybe we should play together." And he's like, "Yeah, let's do it sometime." And that's all I heard from him. So it just kind of pisses me off that he like outright said, "I don't want to do that," and then he was doing that. And like, all you gotta say is like, "Hey, man, I think you're cool or whatever, but I don't want to play music. Maybe I feel like our styles clash." Any excuse, but he just like left me high and dry, and that pisses me off. So yeah, did that. Um, Shot some bows with Mayfly and stuff. Talked to Bree Shore the other day. She was just texting me, so I called her on Instagram. We just like shot the shit. And I have a new coworker named Maya who's really cute. She's way too young for me, but she reminds me of KDB, which kind of makes me pissed off and sad because they look a lot alike, and she's also really smart and really she just like gets a lot of old references that I would not expect her like because we're like a generation apart basically or like almost a generation apart, so I wouldn't expect her to get all these old references, but she does. So yeah, that's cute. I went to the People's Market with Jill, and sold a bunch of bismuth crystals. I got some really sick ones. Let's see if I can pull some out here. Probably woke up Toby when I did that, because Toby really hates that Mylar Street for some reason. Yeah, it probably won't show up on the camera, but I have some really nice ones. I sold one to Ken for 20 bucks. Oh, these ones really do show up pretty well. Very reflective. Yeah, so just because of the way the camera's set up. But yeah, I've got some really sick ones that turned out really good. I kind of learned how to make a good crystal just through trial and error. This one's kind of cool, but you know, it's a little dirty looking, on top and stuff, but that's fine. Yeah. This one's got a lot of colors in it. Like, it's got pink, yellow, green, blue. Yeah, it goes all the way up to blue at the top. Very neat. I also started doing something like dipping regular crystals, like quartz, because this would normally be like $5 or something, because it's kind of a low quality one, but then I think this is interesting. This is something a little different. So you can take like a basic little quartz crystal and then make it a little more interesting, you know? So throw some bismuth on it and charge an extra $1 for it. Yeah, so I went to the People's Market with Jill. Oh, this one's really sick. This one's just plain silver and extremely shiny, and that's because, for one, it was just a sharp crystal, but I didn't really like the colors on it, and I was also just testing my hydrochloric acid. But if you get hydrochloric acid and you just dip these in them, the oxidation layer immediately disappears. So you can just get these really perfectly silver crystals, which is cool. Oh my god, I really love these. I can't stop. If I can get this one to shine. Yeah, this one is just absolutely amazing. Gold and purple. And it's got blue on the inside, but I think it's only showing up as purple on the camera. But yeah, this one doesn't do, the camera doesn't do this one justice. This one's so cool. Yeah. Well, they're really cool to look at, you know. And I think that they're just really beautiful. I went to the People's Market with Jill, and she brought her earrings and stuff, but she made not even enough to cover the entry fee, and I made $80 without counting cost of materials, and then so I made $60, which is probably more like 50 or 40 considering, but that's still pretty cool. I'd really like to be able to just do craft fair stuff for like a good amount of income and just hold down a part-time job. Problem with that is that I like to make things, and then once you make things, you like immediately get attached to them because you made them. But I'm trying to get over that. Like, I fucked up because I gave Jill and Mayfly a bow each, and I think I mentioned to Mayfly that I almost regret giving her bow because it's the best one that I had made up to that point. And then I think she brought it back because she felt bad. Fuck! Which, I mean, it's all part of my learning process, but yeah, so I'm gonna still give it to her, especially when I leave. Hers is really ornate. It has copper on the handle, copper wrap, and then copper seals as well. I mean, it's not super ornate, but it's more ornate than my other ones. Let me just show you the one that I made for Gila. This one is really good, actually. It's really simple. Fuck. But still, I think it turned out really good because it It pulls about 35 pounds at my draw length, which is about 28 inches. Oof. And it's just nice. So it's got little copper seals. It's got a triangle here, and then the other triangle part. So like black triangle, copper triangle. It's just me wrapping a little piece of tinfoil around it and spraying it, and then it has a little. This is really not great lighting for this because you can't see it. It's got a little triangle here, and I did that all the way along here. So in between the cracks of the wrapping, you can see a little copper too, which is kind of nice. And then it's just got 2 coats, maybe 3 coats of black, and then one more, like, more of a finished kind of black on top of those. And then it's got, yeah, just the seals. And then I spray painted it with multiple lacquers, which I think I used the right lacquers this time, because shellac has a really nice, like, really glossy finish, but it cracks. I do like the look of it, but it just doesn't work. So you have to get the high quality and like lacquer finish. And then, so what she said was she wants it black and green with copper or silver. And I didn't have any green, so all I did is I just wrapped the handle in green. But she's also kosher, I guess, so she doesn't eat meat. I think. I don't know what that means. So I was gonna do a leather wrap on it, but I ended up just doing the green paracord and then a green string as well. But it's super dark, so it's kind of hard to see the colors. At least dark in here. But anyhow, yeah, little copper arrow rest as well. It really does shoot super nicely, and it's just very graceful. She's gonna use it for Beldegarth or something like that, whatever it's called. I also had to decurve these a little more because they were like a full 90 degrees from the string. But I decurved them just a little bit because I was trying to lower the poundage. Maybe I lowered it. Like, it feels a slightly lighter, but I think it's still a little too heavy for her to shoot very much of. It's like 32 or 35 pounds, so I think she has a slightly smaller draw than I'll have. So anyhow, I'm gonna see if I can convince her to come over and try it out. Maybe I could still form it a little bit. I'm sure that I could still manage a little bit. So anyhow, this one turned out really good. I'm gonna leave it strung up for like a day more. And honestly, you could probably leave it strung up for quite some time. Especially considering that it's a little heavy draw for her, probably. Cool. Just to lower the poundage. Just to have it take a set. And lower the poundage just by a little bit. I really like this one. It shoots really well. But yeah, I got a few other ones. I've got another recurve that's bigger than this. I have a Mayflies is a self-curve. Gels is a recurve. My personal one is a self bow. That's like mine's actually the lowest poundage of all the ones that I've made. Even though I'm the only person that actually shoots. It's kind of funny, but I like it. So I also have a really long, like ridiculously long, like 6 foot D curve self bow, sort of. It's a little weird. You know, it's basically just a big old wavy stave that kind of goes handle out and then tips. Yeah, so I've been doing a lot of that, having a lot of fun with it. I made this cool quiver. Oh yeah, and these little things here. I should bring these back to work. Yeah, so my house is horribly trashed at the moment, just from all the shit that I've been doing, but so here's the quiver, and I really like this. It works so well. Actually, it's got a funny story of how I managed to do part of it. But it's just 2 pieces of wood, one here, and then it comes to a V at the bottom, down here. and it just keeps it open so that when you're hanging it from something, it's always open, even if there's no arrows in it. And then I did like some sewing with a very thick needle and string, which works. And this is just a piece of tin that I kind of folded to get the sharp bits on the inside, and then folded through this little hole that I made. And then punched a hole in it with a screwdriver and a hammer, and then I've just had this copper ring, which is made out of a penny lying around. That was kind of a failed experiment. And I just use it so I just bend the copper and then open up this little thing. So I just bend the copper out of the way and then rotate it out. And then this thing opens up. You can clamp it on to whatever you want, like your belt or your belt loop. Or I was just thinking about making a shoulder strap, but that probably wouldn't be necessary to clamp on. You would just throw it through there, and then you just thread the thing back through and then bend it back in place, and it stays. And it's really comfortable. It just stays right on my hip. Doesn't tip over. I've never had it tip over or anything like that. But when I was talking to Jill when I was doing this. Yeah, it does mostly work. But I was talking to Jill when I was making this. Like during the process of when we were just chit-chatting. And I was like, Jill, I should put something in the bottom of this, like sand or something, so that the arrows will like stop at the sand and not puncture the bottom of the jacket. Or the bottom of the pant leg. This is a pant leg, by the way, if you didn't notice. I dyed it black. It's just a darker color. It mostly just makes it look dirty, which is fine by me. But yeah, I also sewed down here. Can't really tell that well, but I just ran a bunch of thread through it, so it's nice and tight. But I was like, what should I put at the bottom of it? She's like, well, I don't know, just don't put sand in the bottom. Well, I was like, okay, well, I've got like rocks and pine cones. And I was like, pine cones? Wait a second. So a pine cone looks like from the bottom, it's got like these spines that stick out like this, and then they get up, 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 up. So if you stick it in the bottom, then the spines are like out, and like any sort of thing that you push on it or like throw on it will just go towards the inside of the pine cone. So I just stuck a pine cone at the bottom, and it doesn't fill up the entire bottom because it's a small pine cone. But so there's a bunch of these that are hitting the bottom of this, but also the things that hit the pine cone just stick right into the pine cone. So I think it probably lowers the wear on the bottom of the quiver a little bit, but I'm still gonna have to figure out a different option, like probably like a leather thing that they poke into, like, or just rest against. But for now, the pinecone thing, fucking legit. I thought it was so funny. Yeah. Also, I just thought, I think that back quivers are a little stereotypical and dumb, but I was just testing it out like this, and I was like, well, heck. It really just sits right on my back super nicely if I were to just put a string that goes like that, and you just like a slip knot or something, goes, you just strap it up, and then it works perfectly. You just knock it like that. The problem that I was running into is that it's a little janky putting them in there. But anyhow, pant leg, wood, V-shape. Sew it with string. Works really well. I kind of want to make another one because it's fucking so cool. And then this guy, I need to take this to work because there's this girl that comes into my work whose husband died a few years ago. I always thought she was pretty cute, to be honest. She has a lisp too, which is funny. But she has 2 kids. Her husband died a few years ago. So she's a widow. And she's always been really nice. I always like talking to her. Her name is Christina. And I was like, hey, I've been doing this thing. And I don't know why I decided to offer. But I just told her, I've been doing this thing where I've been making bows. Do you think that Tegan would want one of these? She's like, yeah. So, I made this little tiny recurve. And this one draws about 20 pounds. It might be a little heavy for him, to be honest. But if you shoot it even at like a partial draw, it still is super accurate and shoots really well. So it's got a little leather handle, and then the arrow rest right here. Everything's solid. I even have like some cool decorations, like some little triangles that are just gold, and then gold seals. Because I mean, if I was a kid and I had this, I would go ape shit. I'd be like, this is the coolest thing I've ever had. So it's got a little ring up here, which just indicates that this is the top, and then a little spot to put the arrow. Even though it's a little high, but I think that's good, because for one, he's probably going to shoot high, starting out. So just up a little bit higher makes it shoot kind of straighter. And I think when I was testing it, raising this up kind of helped with the arrow rest a little bit. So yeah, this thing fucking kicks ass. Like, seriously though. It really does. Like, I think I might go back to the People's Market and just try to sell a bow or two, because they are so cool. I suppose I could whip out a few of those before I went. Anyhow, let me just shoot my cash real quick. Just for the heck of it. I want to see if this bowstring is actually aligned. Yeah, it totally is actually. I think, man. Oh yeah, that's so good. I love that. I love it. Anyhow, I made two. One for Tegan and one for Sophia, but Sophia's like 6. I don't know if she's old enough to use this, considering that this is legitimately a very dangerous weapon. Weapons for kids! What is that? This one. This one has a really nice finish on it. Relatively speaking. Where is it? Oh, what the heck? Oh, not this one. This one, yes. This one. I really like this one. Personally, I think this one shoots really well. Fucking savage. Looks beautiful. This one is just a really short bow. This one has a dowel. I believe this one has a dowel in the handle. And both of these shoot super accurately. They're both small. They're both about 20 pounds draw. And I also tested this one with a partial draw, and it works super well. Just this little tiny thing. Look how small it is. Like, probably, I don't know how long that is, but it's not very long at all. Like, you could probably buy an arrow that's longer than this bow. I love them. Look at that. Look how beautiful it is. It's got that nice little taper towards the handle. And then taper all the way to the end like that, and it just bends so beautifully. And this one has little silver rings on this, and then copper seals. And I also have a little copper penny, which goes on the top. What was that again? Abe, and yeah, it's just like a penny from the 70s, I think. Oh no, 2015. I knew that. So, yeah, super into it. I love them. I'm so bummed to get rid of them. I may have to go... I may have to bring them to the farmer's market. yeah, so I got those little ones. Um, yeah, so I've just been doing that. I've been playing a little bit of more music, obviously, like I said. I did a lot of bismuth. I got 34 pounds of bismuth, which is about $300. Um, and yeah, so my landlord called me yesterday. I was super pissed about it because she was ragging on me about being late for rent, and which is fair because I was late for rent. But also, I don't care. And then she's like, "Well, do you want to like set it back?" She's using a weird word. She's like, "Do you want to set it back to the 10th?" And I was like, "I don't know what this word is that you're using." But yeah, basically it was moving towards the fact that I do want to move it to the 10th. And then she kept on having like this really impatient tone in her voice. And then I was gonna say something. I was like, okay, well when Marilyn was doing this, I was gonna be like yada yada yada, explain whatever. And she's like, well, Marilyn hasn't been running the court for several years. And I was just like, I gotta go. And then I saved her number, so I'll never answer that phone number ever again. And if I do end up talking to her, I think what I'm going to tell her is, why don't you bend over and spread that permanently clenched asshole of yours and take a huge, fat, black cock? Something like that. You know, really offensive to an old lady, hopefully. Because what a bitch. Anyhow, I try not to be mean, but I also really don't like her. So, yeah, I'm kind of thinking about the moving thing. I'm gonna, when I take off to California in August, I'll think about it more. In the meantime, I'm kind of just coasting. And just thinking about what I want to do, where I want to move to. Luckily, I do have a friend in California. That's good. And you know, I've got some money that I can back up on. And I think I'll be able to get a job down in Arcata. That's the idea. I really hope I like it. I'm apprehensive about moving. I'm always like more and more apprehensive, but the more I think about it, the more like negative things I think about it, and maybe it like pulls me back and makes me not want to do it, but also I think it's got to be done. Like, I got to get the fuck out of here. I just feel angry all the time. Just about the place that I live and the people here. And the time wasted. So Jill Jill wants to move to New Orleans. And this morning I woke up to the news which said New Orleans underwater, incoming hurricane. And I like messaged Jill later that day, and I was like, "Is it a bad day for you?" Because she also fell on the sidewalk. I saw that on her feed or whatever. And she's like, "Yeah, it's a shitty day." And then I was like, "How's New Orleans?" And she's like, "Oh, yeah, it's underwater. Thanks for reminding me." And what's funny about this, it's underwater, you know, is that when she was talking about moving to New Orleans, I was like, the reason that I don't want to move to New Orleans, or I wouldn't want to live in New Orleans, is because I don't want to live in a place that's underwater. That's literally what I said. And then headlines blare, New Orleans underwater, just like 6 months later. Um, yeah, and she's so fixated on New Orleans. She's like, oh, it's a cultural hub. There's lots of those. That's fine, you know. But the place has been like fucking hurricaned over so many times. I cannot think of a city that has been destroyed so many times in like even the last 20 years. Like it's been like 3 times, I think, at least. And then we got another hurricane going straight for it. It is like Hurricane Valley. Don't move to where the hurricanes are, and don't move to a place next to the ocean where the hurricanes are. But she's like so set on it, and it was like her dreams are crushed. So, it's easy for me to say, but maybe don't let your dreams be crushed when your dreams are like set up for crushing. I think it's mega dumb that she's moving to New Orleans. I don't like she's just so fixated on it. She hasn't really said anything besides that. She just always wanted to live there, like the bayou or whatever. It's like, fine, go live in the bayou. How about not? So yeah, hopefully we move down to California. I told my sister I was going to move, and then this morning my mom, this is might be also kind of the reason why I'm in a sour mood today. Besides Jill being in a sour mood and just being kind of bitchy towards me today, um, is that my mom asked me if I'm moving, and I was like, oh great. So Kylie just heads off and just tells her everything. That's nice, because that's not what I'm interested in. I don't want her to know. And this might be a real dick move, but the trailer is actually still in her name. I thought I had transferred it to mine, but apparently not. At least as far as I can tell. And if that's the case, I wouldn't feel too guilty about just like dipping and leaving the trailer. This is yours. See how that goes. But yeah, I'm gonna have to, once I get back and I decide if I'm more conclusively if I'm going to move to Arcata or wherever in California, then I'll have to figure out what else I'm doing. I really, really don't like being evil about this, but I just feel evil. I feel evil all the time. You know, I feel murderous and psychotic. Not really psychotic, but like just